Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCS. It's time for game number 3 here today. We got Dignitas going up against Shopify Rebellion. I'm Captain Flowers, joined by Azael, and we're bringing back the notorious POB for the back-to-back cast here for game number 3. How'd you like your game number 2 in there, buddy?
That was pretty fun, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was like kind of nervous. I wasn't sure if I would say anything like bad or weird or something. I hope it came across okay.
Don't worry, man. We all say goofy stuff sometimes. You just got to follow your heart.
Say there, Pope.
All right, so jumping into this one, both these teams now tied in the standings. Remember, it was Shopify taking down Immortals yesterday while Dignitas fell to 100 Thieves. Both of them sitting at 4 and 6 here now in the middle of the pack, with Renekton and Twisted Fate banned out by Dignitas, the Azir and Kalista targeted here early by Shopify.
I'm really curious, what is your take on Insanity's champion pool? Because some people are really a big fan of when he's playing kind of this crazy stuff. Some people are like, you should just stick to what's normal. Yeah, what's your take?
I think he's like definitely a creative style player where he just like likes to break the meta or pick things that are not very conventional. Like last year he had this weird like Graves mid arc, and then earlier in the split he was playing like
he played Zac, he played Garen, he played Sion.
Yeah, and then I think he's tamed it down now. I asked them actually, I was like, you know, how do you guys feel about him playing these like edgy picks where you guys like, okay, like cut it out, play some meta stuff now, or do you let him do his own thing? And they said, no, we just like let him do his own thing.
All right, well, we got the Senna and the Varus band away, targeting some of those popular bot lane marksman choices. Let's see how Dignitas wants to start this one off here. Playing from the blue side, the Orianna would be a classic. We see pretty much, I mean, you've played a lot of competitive League of Legends as a mid laner. This is one of the most evergreen champions, I feel like, in pretty much everyone's pool.
Yeah. Actually, they go for the Smolder, though.
Okay, yeah, going for Smolder. Tomo being the first player in the LCS to break that out in a previous week, has played it a couple of times now. How do you feel about this champion with it being so new? Lots of conversations around the scaling potential and how fast it stacks and the differences between pro play, solo queue, things like that.
I think as the weeks have passed and people have figured out better how to play and how to itemize the champ, I think it's like a pretty solid pick overall. It does scale pretty well, and like low-key, it's kind of a flex. Like, you can flex at top in some cases. I don't know if they'll flex at mid, but yeah, I think it's a solid first pick, yeah.
I've been kind of surprised to see it not being played in solo lanes much in pro at all, because in solo queue it feels like much more prevalent as kind of like a flex. I know Nemesis was playing it a ton mid, and people were kind of watching him. I know I was watching Lorlo a lot when he came out, and he was playing it a ton top lane. I think, you know, definitely as a counter pick or as an answer, it can be pretty strong in some matchups.
Yeah, I think if they pick something where you can just farm stacks, something that doesn't have huge dive potential. I played it against like Fiora one game in solo queue. It felt super good to just be able to like build Swifties.
You're just farming Qs on them.
Yeah, so I think top lane, if anything. There was I think Damwon in Korea did play at top, although he did go like this corrupt tank build.
Are you talking about the grasp stuff? I've seen some people doing a lot of like grasp tanky Smolder top as well.
Yeah, and just playing off the stacks.
Yeah, I think it can definitely work. I mean, there's a lot of power just in the obviously the true damage and the eXyu as well. So we're gonna have a Lucian locked in, Volibear on the other side. Volibear obviously really popular now on this patch. It feels like has been getting stronger and stronger and is becoming really prevalent now.
And even with Senna banned away, Nautlis is going to show up in this game without her. We've been seeing a lot of this guy here as well. They'll be playing that down in the bot lane alongside the Smolder for the side of Dignitas, and they'll lock in Taliyah for what I'm assuming is the mid lane.
All right, so if you're Insanity here, Taliyah's locked in. What kind of champion are you looking to play?
I think Insanity's mindset is like, don't worry about me. My champion pool is so big. I can go 4-5. Let's just lock our solid bot duo. They go Nami Lucian, classic combo. I think a lot of options you can go mid here. Hwei, I think, is good versus Taliyah. You can go Orianna for sure. Karma's still on the table. And all of these picks synergize pretty well with Volibear jungle as well.
How about for you personally? What would you play into this, just knowing the 3 champions on the enemy team comp so far?
I think I would probably favor Orianna. Personally, that's just me. I like the matchup versus Taliyah. I feel like there is solo kill potential throughout the game, and I mean, Orianna is just one of the best picks for mid for sure.
It's interesting seeing Lucian Nami come back. It's definitely not something that's getting played a lot on this patch. Only 4 picks across all regions on 14-4. But Lucian Nami, as you said, classic combo. And it was kind of interesting, you know, hearing different people's opinions on this, you know, as a duo. I think it was Jan, who is on Pros, talking about this, and he said he felt that a lot of people kind of misunderstood the point of Lucian Nami. He felt that it's less about, you know, the laning power, and a lot of lanes are actually more 50-50, and it's more about the control around mid and how you can actually play off the ways around mid lane, that people can't actually challenge you there. If they step too far, you can chunk them down, so it allows you to have first move to objectives more in mid game. And that was kind of how he was looking at the power of this pick and this duo. You know, how do you see Lucian Nami and kind of how it fits into pro play?
Yeah, I think I kind of interpreted it similarly to you, where you expect the Nami Lucian to be able to get a lead in lane and then transition to like a strong mid game with the gold advantage. But I do agree that even if you don't find the greatest advantage in lane, that it's still strong in mid game with the spike, like just as Nami gets
like one item spike and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, hold on now. We've got the Hwei being hovered with the Orianna that you called out earlier. Dignitas respecting that sort of line of thinking, banning that out. Also removing the Udyr, taking out one of those options. That's a pretty solid pick to choose for top lane into almost any matchup. Pick that one blind. They don't want him taking that. Double jungle ban from Shopify, making sure that both Vi and Poppy are off the table, and they will lock in the Hwei. We got Kobe standing by for a little bit of trash talk as we get into the second half of the draft.
Welcome to the cage match between Shopify Rebellion and Dignitas. We've got Insanity and eXyu. eXyu, I'm coming to you first. The jungler for Dignitas. Who is the weakest link on this Shopify team? Who are you ganking? Who's the easiest?
They're all free ganks.
They're all
Everyone can
free.
die, yeah. I mean, David doesn't have a dash this game, so he's a pretty easy target.
You're PvE, man. You struggle with that on its own.
Bro,
You can't gank anything.
I have a 90% win rate on Sej. What do you have on Hwei?
Well, you just got demoted to Sejuani duty for a reason.
Yeah. Oh! I mean, we gotta win, you know? We need this one.
I don't know if you'll win.
Yeah?
The classic. All right, good clean game. Expect those ganks or the mind games that are coming with it. There we go. Oh my goodness. Let's get into it.
Oh my god, Insanity is too funny, man. First the eyebrows yesterday. I don't know if you caught that at the beginning of the day where he's doing the eyebrow wiggles to the camera and stuff. The guy's cracking me up.
Not afraid to flex a little personality there, but it will be the Gnar locked in for Dignitas, for Rich in the top lane. The Sejuani picked up for eXyu like they were talking about. What will this final choice in this draft be for Shopify? How do they want to navigate the matchup into the Gnar? Remember the Udyr, the Renekton, both already banned out by Dignitas. Really the only two top lane picks here in the ban so far. Shopify going to take their time.
Shopify have basically no engage at all.
Could be Jayce. Oh, I was just about to say that.
You think they're just going to play kind of like longer range?
Yeah. Jayce is, you know, classic. Like a lot of top laners love playing that into Gnar. Jayce just got pretty strong buffs for laning. So I like the pick, and FakeGod is like a Jayce guy. He loves playing it.
Which comp would you rather be playing on?
I think I'd rather be Dignitas side. If I'm just viewing from the mid lane purely, I think I like playing I mean, I like to play Taliyah with this Sejuani CC to play off of, or Nautlis CC. That's just me though, personally.
Yeah, and I will say, you know, as much as I think Jayce is a solid matchup into Gnar, we see this a lot in pro play where people play these compositions like Shopify has, where it's very low to none as far as hard engage goes.
Yeah.
And if you make any sort of mistakes with this, the game falls apart completely, right? Because you don't have pick really to be able to pull it back. I think it becomes a lot more difficult. You're very dependent, I think, on playing from a lead, on being first to the objective. Whereas on the Dignitas side, they have so many go buttons. You can cut people off with the Taliyah ult. You have, you know, potential flanks from Gnar. You have engage from Nautlis, from Sejuani. Like, there's so many ways it feels like to start the fights and to find picks. Shopify, I think their composition seems so much less forgiving to me.
And that makes it tough, right? Like, especially when we're getting towards this end of the season, when we're getting towards only 1 week left to play before we make it into playoffs after this one. With how close these standings are, with how crazy everything's been, you got to make sure that every single game you're putting forth that best effort. And for Shopify, I always look critically at teams that don't draft a lot of engage when they've been having some issues with communication and coordination already. So I think if they want to walk away with a dub here, they're really going to have to step it up, both individually and as a team, making sure they don't fall into those situations like you guys are talking about where, oh, okay, I guess we're just sitting in our base praying they mess up.
Yeah, I feel like on paper, Shopify Rebellion, honestly, it looks like to me they have 3 winning lane matchups, and, you know, they have a jungler that can capitalize off those advantages. But if they don't find a lead early, then I can see their 5v5 being pretty tough to execute, you know, very squishy, 4 squishy champs with only 1 volley as frontline could get run over if you don't find a big lead early.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anyone who gets engaged on is probably going to get one shot, except maybe that Volibear. What would you say the job is then, for, if you're saying it's expected winning lanes, for Shopify, what would you say the job is for Dove, on Dignitas? How are you going to, as the enemy mid laner, kind of minimize the loss in the early game to keep it stable?
I think as Taliyah, I'm just looking to farm out the lane, which I definitely think you can do in this matchup. Definitely apply gank pressure to mid. I think Hwei is very gankable as such, Taliyah. And then just look to move around the map together to kind of neutralize these aggressive side laners like Jayce and Nami Lucian with the Taliyah ult. That would be my game plan.
So you think Dignitas should play through mid first and then use that to go to sides, basically? Try to secure mid lane advantage, be able to have Taliyah unlocked to be able to move to sides?
Yeah, exactly. Just look to counter the early aggression that I'm assuming Shopify is going to bring to the table with like Jayce top, Nami Lucian bot.
I would expect with the Nami Lucian like you're talking about and Jayce, that early control and Volibear versus Sejuani being a matchup where you would expect Volley to win in the head-to-head on that anyway, should be lots of early control across the rift, right? For the side of Shopify, but we'll see how it all ends up playing out once we get in there. Loading in right now. Doesn't look like anything's too crazy in terms of how it's going to be. Sejuani back on the Aftershock. The Sejuani we saw earlier in the day was rocking the Summoner Spellbook. Generally, that is an adaptation playing into Trundle, going back to the Aftershock in games that do not have his presence in there. As always, going to be keeping an eye on Tomo this game in particular, seeing how fast he stacks up, getting to those critical breakpoints for the 25 early on and then the 225 later for the eXyu.
I will say I'm a little bit surprised that Tomo's actually playing Cleanse. There's not that many good things to cleanse. Like, sure, there's some sort of CC potentially coming out from Hwei. There's the Volibear Q. That's about it. There's not really a lot of value to be got from this.
Shopify was like spam pinging that he has cleansed, so I think they're really happy to see it.
I mean, I feel like when you're already playing kind of a losing 2v2 bot and then you're playing Cleanse, which is going to be useless in the 2v2, like that just makes it even harder.
That's rough, yeah. I feel like maybe his expectation was that Lucian might pack Ignite. Like aggressive Lucian players will do that.
Just try to cleanse the Ignite. But even then, wouldn't you rather, if you're just going it purely for that sort of angle, I feel like Barrier or something is going to be more value.
I agree with you, yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if they're going to be punished. We've seen some Smolder games go very tragic, including one yesterday from Tactical, where things went really bad really early, and it can super push you back on how fast you're going to be able to stack this up. The new kind of modern build we're seeing now is people still sticking with Essence Reaver, but it seems to be Essence Reaver into Shojin. Obviously gives you a ton of CDR. You're going to have no limit on the amount of mana you have, and hopefully really be able to ramp up how much you're stacking in the mid game. As BVOY and Zeyzal dropping that deep ward, looking to see if they can get a little bit of chip damage on them as they're walking to lane, but I think Tomo and Isles being very safe, not going to challenge through the tri-bush. They know there's no shot you can actually scrap with that 2v2, so just going to be playing it safe and walking the long way around.
One of those situations where you look at what you might gain from that choice, and there's really just nothing there that's going to go positive. So just
you can gain one stack.
Try to get the stacks going in the lane instead. Yeah, great choices, great choices. But remember that in the previous games we've seen Tomo on this champion. Usually he'll hit that 225 breakpoint around the 23-minute mark somewhere. So that's where I'm going to be expecting this one to be as well, unless things just completely go awry one way or the other. You can see junglers both starting off in their red side quadrant. And looks like it's going to be full clear here from both.
Yeah, you can really optimize the stacks, especially if you're scrapping early, and especially if you are playing against some of these easier lanes, then you can get a lot both from CS and from kind of poking away on your opponents. The fastest I've seen it in competitive is sub 20, in 19-minute-ish range. That's about as fast as I've seen it. In solo queue, you can get it really fast, but it'll be interesting to see how they can do it. And also, I mean, even in that game from Tactical, he got it around 26 minutes after an absolutely abysmal start where he had no stacks at all because his team put him mid and then we're donating him wolves at Raptors over and over and over.
Ooh, eXyu forced to flash out. I was thinking we were just going to get the full clear, but no, Bugi taking advantage of that hard-winning matchup in the 1v1 there with the Volibear versus Sejuani, forcing the summoner spell out of the Dignitas jungler.
Yeah, Isles going to be going in for a hook there, trying to trade back. Nice seismic shove in from Dove. It's getting pretty scrappy in mid lane here. So talk to us about this from the Hwei point of view, Pobe. You're saying you feel this is a winning matchup for Hwei. What is it about this matchup that you kind of like from that side?
I think Taliyah is always susceptible to just tanking EE and a W auto. Wow, this guy took 2 turret shots.
Ooh, yeah, that was pretty rough for Shopify's bottom lane there. A little unlucky.
And you could see that Tomo was really worried about the dive. This is something we've seen happen a lot to Smolders, where the wave gets stacked on them. They're getting pushed in on the wave. The jungler comes down. We knew Bugi wasn't there, but he did not. And eXyu had been pushed out of their bot side jungle, so I think he was very nervous that Volibear, could have been down there, could have been wrapping behind. So that's why Tomo and Isles did back off. But BVOY takes a couple turret shots that allows them to be able to step back up, of course, pick up the farm, and they're just going to try to bounce the wave as BVOY's gone back to base here. And then Tomo will be able to reset. And he's in a pretty good spot. They obviously... Do they have a Targon's charge? They do have a Targon's charge for the cannon, so we'll be able to crash this, no problem.
Up to 11 stacks now. All right, usually do you like to see them grab that 25 breakpoint around, I think the 6 or 7 minute mark has been where we're seeing it in pro play. Kind of depends a lot on early on if you can hit the double snot bubble on both enemy players at the same time. Since you do not have the AoE on your Q for the farming just yet, that'll be one of your faster stacking mechanics. As you can see, Bugi, again, just trying to place down some vision here in the enemy jungle. Take advantage of the fact that he's got that early power on the Volibear and track eXyu as adeptly as he can.
So we're seeing tier for both Hwei and Taliyah. You were talking earlier about how you kind of prefer Lost Chapter builds and even like Luden's Rush and stuff like that on Taliyah. So talk me through kind of the differences between some of these builds and what you think, Dove might be going for.
Yeah, well, when I play solo queue, I feel like Luden's is just better because you spike faster and have more damage. Definitely in competitive, you almost never see anyone going Luden's. Everyone almost goes Seraphs for the the durability, and you have increased mana pool. You're staying in lane longer. There's less fighting, so pretty standard stuff. Man, kind of a shame Shopify wasn't able to win harder in the early game. Seju was only like 3 camps for a while, whereas Volley had full cleared, and then bot was like winning pretty hard, and then he tanked 2 turret shots, and they couldn't even pick up that plate. Actually, that plate just died to creeps.
A little bit rough on that one. Still, well, a +2 wave advantage for BVOY up over Tomo, but Tomo will be able to equalize some of that here, farming up these minions as they're about to collide into the turret. You can see on the left side of your screen there the levels. Almost all of our solo laners now level 7. You can see Rich just tagging it now as another one of those choose flies out from Tomo as he gets closer and closer to the 25 CS mark.
Yeah, that was really good CSing from Tomo. I don't think he missed a single one. You can even get so many of the kind of like awkward health minions because you have, auto Q as an auto reset. You have the W as well in there to help prep. So did a very good job. I don't think he missed a single CS, with that wave pushing into him. Even though BVOY and Zeyzal were looking for a little bit of pressure. Bugi, though, going to take this time to start up the dragon. We can see eXyu will get eyes on this. We'll see if they think that they can do anything about it as their bot lane is pushed in. Insanity, we know, is going to be in the area and will be pushing eXyu back.
And Sanity will not land any of the CC there, but doesn't need to. Just forcing him out of the way, making sure that there's no contest here on the Drake. That is a Drake #1 secured at 6.5 minutes into the game, so pretty early. Also not trading it away for the Void Grubs at the same time as FakeGod versus Rich. The 1v1, FakeGod sidestepping away there, flashing out of the range of the wallop. Returning another auto attack, but does not want to overcommit. Rich walks back away. Both of them now very low on HP, but critically the difference is FakeGod now without flash. We'll see if Dignitas can move anybody else up and punish that here in the next 5 minutes.
And Rich just got the honey fruits as well, so he actually doesn't even have to base. And if that boulder toss was going to connect, maybe FakeGod would have had to flash even earlier. Might have potentially not been able to get that little bit of chunk down onto Rich. And Rich maybe could have looked to actually follow in. But with no TP, the wave will crash. I'm not sure if it's a cannon wave on top or not. It is, so he's not going to lose as much. Jayce should be able to get back to get most of this, but still going to be feeling pretty damn good about things. As Dignitas, you talked about the 3 winning lanes, Pobelter on the Shopify side. Dignitas seems to have neutralized these lanes pretty damn well. We're 7.5 minutes in. It's only a 300 gold lead and the 1 dragon.
Yeah, I mean, the way that Jayce top plays with and without flash is so different. I think that's actually huge for Gnar in order to just be able to farm out the lane now. This Jayce is so scared. He even QE'd the bush, and gave up the cannon creep because he's so afraid now. Yeah, pretty sad as the Jayce side. Honestly, I started going just Conquer on Jayce every game so I can just fight to the death. With the phase rush, he was just kind of losing out 1v1.
Yeah, 66 to 58 for farm. I mean, +1 wave advantage isn't really anything to write home about. You can see in the top of the screen right now about a 700 gold lead globally for Shopify. The 1 Drake, but all 3 grubs in the first rotation did go over to Dignitas in the meantime. So we'll see how Shopify is able to respond to that later on in the game, or if Dignitas will continue being able to have enough control over the top side river to hit that 6 grub mark. Rich back up in top side now, just continuing to farm things up. A little bit behind in farm, but not too much. Bottom lane, we'll check in on Smolder. 28 stacks. 6, 8.5 minutes in, so maybe a little bit slow on arriving at that point, but now he's got the AoE as the Nami wave flies out. Tomo summons Mom. BVOY gets chunked a little bit by that. BVOY does not have the resources to continue to fight here, so they will have to use the heal to escape, as Dignitas was ready to reinforce with eXyu.
Yeah, nicely done there. It was a good little catch on to Isles. Isles tried to obviously buffer the hook, but he was so close to the wall, it didn't actually dodge anything anyway. So Flash was forced as the ultimate was committed there from Zeyzal, but Tomo getting a good trade back. Now up to 39 stacks, looks like there. So really going to start to accelerate as you start to pick up more and more CDRs. You get more points in those abilities. You can really ramp the stacking up here pretty quickly. And is feeling pretty confident just step forward and trade with those Qs as well. Especially when you're playing fleet, you know, the Q does proc the fleet. When you get in the enemy champion instead of a minion, obviously get a lot of a bigger heal there and can use the move speed just back on out. eXyu going to spot Bugi though, as he was looking to wrap around, and that's going to diffuse any sort of play. So talk to me about, you know, from Dove's point of view now, he's got CDR boots, he's been, you know, level 6 for a while, obviously he's up to level 8 now. You know, how do you actually get out of lane here without giving up too much, without making it too obvious? Because Insanity is obviously just going to try to relentlessly shove you in and keep you locked under your turret. How do you force yourself to be able to get active on the map?
Yeah, I think it's hard to gank mid actually with I feel like the problem with Sej plus AP is that the enemy mid can just itemize merch really easily and just be pretty much unkillable. So he needs to do this. He just clears the wave and then he just hovers one time, sees if there's anything to do. If not, you have to go back and catch the mid wave.
All right, plus 400 gold for Shopify, so still very, very little difference between these two. And honestly, for both teams, you really want to find a win here. The last 3 games remaining, particularly from Dignitas' side, we'll talk about them first because they are the ones slightly behind right now in terms of the gold. Their last 3 remaining opponents in the Super Week are C9, TL, and FlyQuest. That is not an easy lineup. That is not an easy schedule to have to face here at the very end, as you're trying to make sure you don't end up being one of those last couple of teams to not qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough, right? You know, these teams that are having these very difficult strength of schedules, every single win is incredibly important. You know, trying to pick up wins, trying to keep your hopes alive, you know, for a championship, for that MSI berth as well, means a lot.
And over on the other side, we think about Shopify. They've still also got to play C9, but then they have Energy and 100 Thieves as well. And obviously, this whole split has been very competitive. There's been a lot of parity between pretty much everyone, but these are all still teams that everybody looks at and you're like, okay, that could be a pretty scary matchup. So I think for both of these squads, you're looking at this matchup as probably your easiest remaining game left for the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely, right? You know, it is going to be a difficult spot. 5 wins, you know, maybe would be enough to get you into playoffs. We'll have to see how things all shake out. Obviously, we'll be looking at playoff scenarios a lot more next week, which is going to be the final week of the season. It is a super week, though, so it will be 3 games remaining after they finish up here today. You can see the strength schedule for both these teams really tough. But it is going to be an exciting finish, I think, to the LCS. It's been so much parity, and that has kind of continued into this week. We've seen teams, you know, that are even sitting at the bottom still be very competitive. You know, Energy, you know, nearly losing earlier today. We've had, you know, a lot of our teams at the bottom really being able to step up and actually take games off the top teams and threaten a lot of these teams in the midfield as well.
All right, Shopify, they're on to the second Drake of the game. Just about on timer from the first. Remember, the first one fell 6.5 minutes in, so about an extra 30 seconds required to start this one up here for them. But it looks like once again there'll be no contest. Shopify secure Drake number 2 for themselves. And we are going to get another Cloud Rift here today. You can see a lot of On My Way pings coming out on the Grub Pit as well, recognizing, hey, that's already up there. Dignitas got the first 3. They want to try to be able to challenge for this. Remember, so many times we see junglers just do a quick drive-by, smite away one of the grubs, stop them from getting that full 6 and the bonus that you would have from double Void Might spawns. Right now, Bugi is heading right there. Also worth noting, we talked earlier about FakeGod losing the Flash and how that affected the Jayce matchup. There was not any subsequent punish on him for that. He's got the Flash up, ready to go again, so we can continue to try to play more aggressively on that champion, as Shopify is just going to get their bottom lane right back down to the turret. Try not to lose too much more to this. eXyu is still hanging out here, but BVOY and Zeyzal will make it back here in time.
It's also interesting, Bugi probably going for Iceborne here on the Volibear. You know, it is obviously a pretty popular build, but I feel like I've been seeing more and more people go towards Thunder, Sky, and Tank. I know Kobe plays basically exclusively Volibear these days. He's in the one-trick status, and he feels that that build is a lot stronger. Thunder Sky obviously just has so much value, and a lot of these early scraps. We're going to see if they can find a turnaround here on BVOY.
Oh, they send Mom over the top, but the tidal wave turning around back at him means that they cannot close the gap in time. Zeyzal protecting BVOY as he makes his way back underneath the tier 1 turret to stop Tomo and Isles in their tracks.
So do you feel like Shopify have gotten enough out of the early game here? I mean, they got a couple dragons. That's really their only advantage.
I don't really think so. I mean, Smolder has farmed more plates than Lucian has. I don't really love it. I feel like I'm just seeing Lucian flipping ulti on cooldown. Whoa.
Here comes the dive, though. BVOY in some trouble, trying to get away from this one. Does have to pop the flash below half HP, and there was a lot of Dignitas players ready to commit for that one. Isles also very low, though. Going to be a reset for the Dignitas support, too.
Yeah, it's kind of felt to me like a lot of these cullings, BVOY, I think, is just kind of feeling the pressure to get something going, you know, realizing they're not getting enough done, they're not being able to create space in lane, and he's kind of just letting it rip. I mean, you know, maybe a little bit of like, I got to make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, he might be getting like a modest first strike payout, but definitely not what you want to see from Nami Lucian in lane. I feel like when it looks good, it's like we're dashing forward, we're like chunking them to 1 HP, they're missing CS, they're burning sums, but he's kind of just hitting Nautlis with ult.
All right, Engage comes out. Dignitas looking for Bugi, but the problem is Rich has to run. Isles now the focus. FakeGod puts a little DPS into him, but Isles still walking away with about 1/3 remaining. The first grub claimed by Shopify there, but the Herald is now on the map. So only a 4-grub game this time around, with Shopify having enough control over the topside river to immediately start up the Herald.
Yeah, should be able to grab this Herald. Obviously, it was a bit of a dicey moment there from Isles. He'd already used his summoners down on that failed bot dive. But now Smolder going to be rotating over towards mid. They're going to shove a Dove down towards that bot lane. And I think with Sejuani, you should definitely be giving Raptors over to Tomo. Looks like that's going to be the case here. As once you have the AoE on the Q, you can just start stacking up so quickly by farming a lot of these jungle camps. You go mid, you farm the wave, you go to the sides, you farm those extra jungle camps, especially Raptors and Krugs. You can get so many extra stacks off of that really accelerate you to 125, where it just gets easier and easier and easier. So you're picking up more CDR, you're getting more AoE, and you can really accelerate to where we saw, you know, from Tactical, even from a point where I want to say he was around like 50 stacks or something at this point in the game. He still got to 225 by 26 minutes because he got such a massive amount throughout this mid game. We'll see how quickly Tomo can stack it up and if he's going to be donated all those jungle camps as well.
We talk about accelerating the pace of the game, accelerating the pace of your stacking or whatever, but unfortunately the reality of this game is no first blood in almost 16 minutes. I am praying for a ring of fire from Nexus Blitz or something along those lines, as neither team has really found the opportunity to make any seriously aggressive plays. Pobelter, if you were on either squad, either perspective is fine, what's the big play that you would look for to really try to break things open here in this mid game?
I think it's going to come down to third Drake. I feel like that's usually the pressure timing when, if, for example, your dig side, you're like, okay, we drafted scaling lanes, let's kind of just scale up, give first 2 Drakes, then we can contest third. So I feel like it's about to get to that timing where maybe they're willing to butt heads. Smolder has some stacks, everyone has some items.
Yeah, when you're looking at the item completions, it's pretty even across the board here. So no major advantages have been picked up, honestly, on either side. You know, BVOY obviously has been on Stormriser for a while. We have the mandate in for Zeyzal. That's kind of that big one-item spike for that Lucian-Nami duo. And they're going to drop Herald bot, so it should be a turret going down. Dove in trouble.
Oh, Bugi with the flash for the engage, but now he's going to ult the tower so they can keep on diving. First blood over to Hwei, and they're about to make it too. Bugi keeps himself alive. The Herald's going to be summoned up to take the turret as well, and Shopify Rebellion smacks him.
We'll see if they can get anything back on the BVOY here. The ulti tags him. That was close.
That was way too close, man. The clutch Nami heal just to try and make sure that he does not die to Smolder's mom. But Shopify now 2,000 gold in the lead.
Insanity shielded him as well with the WWE there. The shield from Hwei, I think, actually kept him alive because it looked like that was insanely close before that Nami heal landed. Hwei going to TP up towards top. They're going to try to keep the pressure onto these additional towers. And it looks like it is going to be Dignitas, though, getting the dragon. And if you get this uncontested dragon, that's kind of like the only thing that Shopify had going for them from the early game was the dragon stacking. So I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't elect to actually fight here. Didn't feel that they were in a good position to do it after the scrap on the bat side. They're at least getting a little bit of gold out of the trade as they TP towards top. They get the tier 1 top. They got the tier 1 bot just before that. But this is just buying a lot of time.
Dude, Bugi just gets popped. Dove working together with Rich. They find the punish there on the enemy jungler as that volley continues trying to invade, trying to control this territory, but it ain't going to work out that time. Dignitas is on the board.
FakeGod could get a dove here, potentially. We'll see if he's going to back off. Is going to respect the fact that eXyu is around, knows he was warded because Jayce started running as soon as he walked through that brush.
Yup. 131 stacks on Smolder as well, so it's time for that turbo farm point where he's going to be able to really get those stacks going as eXyu hangs out around the mid lane, looking for potential play here. Pobelter, you talked about how the third Drake is the fight point, and we mentioned how, yeah, it ended up going for free over to Dignitas. If you're on the side of Shopify, are you happy to take the plus 2,000-ish gold lead in exchange for not having soul point, or would you have rather had the Drake?
I think they're happy with building a gold lead. I think the only thing that matters is like getting more gold, getting more items. I mean, these guys look reasonably strong now, actually. Lucian and Nami both on 2 cores, so I think at this point, like mindset-wise, if I was Shopify, I would just be like happy that we finally made a play and got some kills on the board. Whatever about the dragon, and just look to make the next play.
Bugi trying to get away there from that dredge line. Manages to find him over the wall, but not really anybody in range to follow it up. They go fishing with the Sejuani ulti, but BVOY just steps out of the way of it, not too worried about that. Dignitas seeing if they can find something there, maybe off of a freebie, but not wanting to really overcommit for anybody.
And you can see Tomo now is on those 2 items, so he has the Shojin completed as well. Nice little chunk comes through, and Jayce fishing with a shock blast as well. It is going to be tough.
E-auto.
Yeah, I mean, that's Storm Racer Rapid Fire, right? Your upfront burst is so high when you're proccing, obviously, you know, first strike, you have the Mandate proc, you have the E from the Nami, like all these things just hit all at the same time. Obviously, the criticism of this build is always that you're sacrificing sustained damage for that. Do you think, though, that it doesn't matter in this case, that Shopify have enough sustained damage to kind of make up for it?
I think if they keep finding chunks like that, and then eventually if they can convert it into more control or, you know, push this mid turret, then yeah, that's totally fine.
It's always the question, right? Because we've seen some games, you know, I think way back to the start, and it was actually some Turtle games, you know, in week 1 when he was playing really well on the Lucian, and would constantly be able to chunk people out, but never actually convert that into an objective, never actually convert that into a kill. They couldn't kind of push it over the edge. You know, and it does start to become very difficult if you can't kind of, you know, have that straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak, where you start to get really a lot more.
I feel like it does fit the theme and the identity of the composition, particularly in this game, though, with how you guys were talking earlier back during draft about how there's so many more options for Dignitas to just go in for a fight, whereas Shopify's going to have to try to poke him. FakeGod, though, he might be in a rough spot. The shutdown over to Rich as Dove gets the shield from the Seraphs, and Bugi doesn't have the damage to take him out just yet. BVOY swoops in, and he finds that quick 1-2 pop. He gets back away thanks to the healing from the Nami, and Bugi's ready to lock down Rich. He should die in the meantime, but instead he's going to walk away. Insanity swoops in and spiraling despair consumes eXyu. A double kill back over to the Hwei. Dignitas lose 3, Shopify lose 2. We finally got a little bit of PvP on Summoner's Rift.
Man, Bugi got out of there with no health whatsoever. That missed all from eXyu, though, really has to hurt. Felt like they could have got more there.
He actually ended up picking up the Lucian off just the explosion part. Kind of funny, yeah.
Tomo trying to get away, does get caught by Insanity. A little bit more damage will take him out, and it's the Summon Airy that does the last little bit of damage he needs. Tomo not respecting Insanity's damage potential.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that he elected not to flash or anything there. I guess just didn't think that it was going to be a way out, but we can see the fight one more time. You know, Rich finishing off the turret, gets the Mega Gnar into the turret there. And Dove, you know, able to actually burst down FakeGod quite a bit, but FakeGod critically got a lot of damage out before he went down. Talk us through the rest of the fight here, Pobe.
Oh man, so Sejuani like Q flash W misses everything. It looks tragic, but actually look, he walks into the ulti explosion and he dies.
Ooh, that's an oof. That's an oof for
me. I thought this Volibear was gonna burn to death, but he lives with like 1 HP with the Triumph proc.
Man, that is some sad stuff actually.
Like, you look at Sejuani ulti, you always think about the lockdown, the initial burst, the after effect is just, you know, a side thought, a secondary thing in your mind. Yeah, it's like, what does that even do? That never does any damage, but it does just enough damage to kill Lucian in that moment. But it looks like Shopify and Dig are ready to square off here for the next Drake. Remember, it's a 2-to-1 lead favoring Shopify as they had that total Drake control early on. Now the engage coming out from Isles. He flashes back away so they don't find the counter attack. Nice. Mom finding its way onto 2 as Zeyzal and Bugi trying to disengage here for a second. Dignitas falling back after their initial attempt does not find any full kills. Still about 3,000 gold favoring Shopify. And considering they did not get bursted down super low, now they're going to start up the Drake. They're going to try to force their opponents to either come into them, or they're just going to have to take something else as a consolation prize, and it looks like the tier 1 turret will be just that. Tomo the one to take it down. The Smolder up to 178 stacks. The Drake probably going the way of Shopify Rebellion, but eXyu's made his way into the pit. He's trying to challenge for this, has to Arctic Assault back over the wall. And the Drake goes the way of Shopify. They're now on Soul Point.
Yeah, they moved to Soul Point there. We're able to get enough of a chunk out early. And I think Rich, going in with the Mega Gnar, tried to get the ulti down into Insanity, but he flashes away from that. And I think the fight's going to kind of dissipate afterwards. And Shopify do have a little bit more sustain. Obviously, Zeyzal's healing them back up. They have position on that dragon, so very hard for Dignitas to fight from there. So they just try to take the best that they can get, which was that tier 1 mid.
Yeah, I think you really have to convert that hook. He landed a hook on Jayce. I was surprised to not see that turn into like a Taliyah combo or follow up with Smolder combo.
Yeah, just weren't really able to find it. I mean, Tomo, used the ult pretty early, was across a couple of members there. It's going to be going in towards the BT. Makes sense. There's quite a bit of chunk, quite a bit of poke over on the other side. We saw how much the Lucian can do, but Insanity on the Hwei can have pretty good poke. There's a Jayce as well, so just going to be going in towards BT, get that sustain, be able to start shrugging off a lot of the poke that they can dash out. And then it's pretty much always rapid fire next. Tomo, though.
Yeah, we got some problems here. BVOY trying to escape with a follow-up from eXyu and Rich coming in from the side. They found the enemy AD carry. And now, as the Volibear tries to escape, it ain't gonna happen, man. Double kill for Dove, and Dignitas got a 5v3. Baron's the call. Enemy jungler is down. FakeGod and Insanity still have a lot of range to try to mess with these guys, try to get them off of there, but it's a tall order. Baron down to about half HP now already. Spiraling Despair finds its way onto eXyu, but that's still the tag. Holy cow! Hwei just gets it done. The burst on this champion is criminal, man. Rich goes over the wall trying to find some kind of an angle here. It'll be a 1-for-1 trade on that one as Dove tries to escape, but FakeGod is hot on his heels. He needs a little bit more burst, but he won't quite find it just yet. Another kill comes in. A triple kill for Insanity. This is what I'm talking about. You cannot disrespect the Hwei.
Oh my god, the Severing Bolt, man. The QW there. The isolated damage from the Hwei is just insane. Insanity landed multiple of those and just executes eXyu in the pit, then is able to get another one out on Tomo after he went out of the wall to actually take him down as well.
3v5 Baron hold, that's crazy.
I mean, this is absolutely crazy. There's the ulti, the Spiraling Despair, and this is the QW, the isolated execute there. No one else was in it with him. Do you think that's just a case where eXyu, just doesn't realize how much damage that's going to be? It didn't even feel like they were trying to dodge.
I think like you got to dash the Hwei route. After you get hit by the root, it's over. But for sure, I think he could have Sejuani queued out of it. Maybe he didn't see it. It's kind of a difficult spell to track sometimes.
Yeah, and there's that root again. You called it out. The root really powerful. I think sometimes underused. Sometimes people, I think, default to using the Fear CC way too much, or the EE. The root setting up the QW is so powerful, especially in these chaotic fights where, again, Tomo had cleanse and flash. I don't think he saw the root. I don't think he saw the QW coming through, because he could have got out of there. And that's one of the few things you can actually use cleanse on in this fight. If he flashes out of that, it could be pretty different, but Insanity kind of carrying the game. 7-0-1. He had a monster performance yesterday and was able to bring them back in what was going to look like a loss to Immortals. So back-to-back days, his Hwei is looking nuts.
It is an Insanity diff here so far. 27 minutes into the game. Tomo's Smolder still at 220 stacks, so it is a pretty late evolution. Isaac, you were comparing it earlier to yesterday when Tactical got off to such a bad start. When he played Smolder, still managed to find that final evolution at about 26, 27 minutes or so.
It was just about 26 on the
26,
dot.
Okay.
Even with having way less stacks early game than Tomo had.
Which tells me that since Shopify did not put the same kind of pressure on Tomo in this game, Dignitas has not done a good job facilitating that stacking in the mid-game phases. Tomo just now hitting there at 27 minutes into the game. This is a critical point for Dignitas, and they really need to be able to stabilize with this, or Insanity's just going to keep running them over.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have not optimized. I mean, they moved him mid at one point, but then shortly after they moved him mid, they just sent him back down towards bot, right? When you're playing around mid, when you can stack off the wave, then take the Raptors, then take the Wolves, and you just keep doing this kind of cycle, you get so much value from it. Like, obviously, you still want to get experience and some gold on your jungler, but Smolder does so much more with it, you know, especially when you can really accelerate those stacks. We saw yesterday, Tactical got up well over 300 stacks, and it was to the point where the last time I checked in, it was over a 10% execute, which just gets insane. Like, this champion scales to infinity, so if you can get the stacks, it's always worth doing it. The splash damage becomes pretty crazy. They are going to be looking to fight for this dragon here, not wanting to give up Soul over to Shopify, but we'll see. Shopify can find the poke before the fight to deny it.
All right. We've still got a 2,500 gold lead for Shopify. Tomo trying to get away as BVOY wants to burst him. Nami OT over the top. Tomo's already down. Shopify loses 2 men. A shutdown. Only with Sanity from Dove. Absolutely massive as Dignitas still has 4 players ready to go. Rich takes out Bugi. They're flashing after BVOY. He tries to escape from the wall and won't find him. Now Dove goes riding the Weaver's wall, but FakeGod's ready to answer. Dove goes golden, and BVOY's got to be careful here. He steps away from the rock. He tries to dash back out, but Isles locks down FakeGod, and Dove is unstoppable. Dignitas find their fight.
Man, even with Tomo getting nothing done in that fight, Tomo dies pretty much for free. Watch Tomo on the left side of your screen. As Rich steps up, you know, BVOY's going to come in. Tomo goes over, and Tomo basically just dies 100-0, wastes both the sums, doesn't dodge anything, and they still are able to win this fight. Like, look at this. He flashes after just into more of the culling, dies, but look at the damage here. Dig over the wall. Such a good CC combo.
Insanity also gets one shot, though, and he's definitely way more useful at the target than the Smolder.
Yeah, when the team has 9 kills total and one dude has 7, you cannot afford to lose that dude. Dove trying to go into the back line, find the plays here. BVOY, nice sidestep away from that initially, but then Isles finding the hook is what really sends it home.
Yeah, Dove, I think, did a really good job in that fight. You know, Rich doing well as well. And I mean, Insanity, you called it out, and is that strongest member by far. Dies, still has a bounty afterwards, which always is a terrible feeling after you give up like a 1K shutdown and you still have a bounty. But Dignitas take the second dragon. We're back around the Baron area here, trying to find that setup. I haven't really been able to get anything going in the side lanes, it feels like, from Shopify. The Jayce has felt like a side note. You know, it doesn't really feel like FakeGod has been able to get too involved whatsoever in this one.
Yeah, I will say, though, as Jayce, as you start to reach more and more items, he's like an okay scaling pick. He can land poke. They don't really have any heals on the other side, and if you can hit Taliyah or Smolder with QE, I think that's decent enough value to make the pick feel worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, the thing is, it's got to be hitting Smolder, but it has to be Smolder has to have no minions or anything else around too, right? Because he has BT at this point. You know, we're pretty late into the game, so you're going to be able to heal up pretty quickly, but Isles going over the wall.
Isles wants Bugi, and they'll force out the ulti from the Bear immediately. eXyu wanted to see if there might have been a follow-up play to make, but does not connect with the Glacial Prison on anybody else from Shopify's squad. Double control ward in the pit for Baron now. Dignitas trying to make sure they control this objective. One control ward over the wall coming out from Shopify, trying to make sure that they at least maintain some little bit of vision on that one. As Dignitas make their way back into the mid lane. This is what I believe for the first time this game here in the past 60 seconds or so, a Dignitas gold lead. Even though it's only a couple hundred, it has been in Shopify's favor the entire time. Otherwise, Shopify now trying to retake control of the topside river.
Yeah, so what do you think is the job now here for, you know, for Insanity, for Dove? And what should the mid laners be looking to try to get done over these next couple minutes? How do they enable their team, you know, to kind of set up for the next fight?
I feel like overall Dig is playing the comp a bit better. You know, Nautlis keeps landing hooks, and they're finding the CC that Taliyah can play off of, and they're opening the fights really smoothly like that. Whereas I feel like Shopify has just been kind of going through the game off the back of these like ridiculous Hwei plays. I feel like Dig keeps walking into the Hwei roots as well. I think they need to be a little more mindful of dashing out of the root or like being careful where he can shoot at.
Yeah, he's been doing a really good job. And even like that placement feels like he's hiding a little bit in the brush, and Dig definitely losing track of it, especially in the fights. It can be hard, you know, when there's so many different things going on. A lot of the effects are pretty loud. But Shopify, a little bit on the back foot. You know, they don't really have any pick. They don't really have any hard engage, so they are kind of dependent upon Dig engaging into them.
So we've been talking a lot about Insanity this game and how the Hwei has been carrying Shopify, but the reality of where the game is right now is it's plus 600 gold for Dove on the Taliyah. He's only 1 kill behind where Insanity is. He has completed his 4th major non-boots item. Insanity's still working towards that, and for Insanity, it is a massive purchase. The death cap going to be item number 4 here, so trying to hit that power spike before a fight would be huge for them, but Dignitas do not want to open that window. They're already starting up the Baron. They're daring Shopify to come and try to answer this. The TP will show up. The Baron's still at 6,000 as Dignitas disengage.
Yep, exactly. They knew Jayce went down towards bottom side. I think they saw him on that ward crossing over by the enemy blue. So saw him going down towards bot. They wanted to get that TP. As soon as the TP comes out, they weren't looking for an actual fight. They just back right off. Look at that poke, though. Wow. Down onto
Smolder
Azael.
are going crazy, yeah.
Azael's not too happy about dealing with that Hwei, man. This champion is so powerful from such a long range. And remember, this is still before we combine the 2 sticks into the hat. Once he gets that massive AP bonus, this dude is just going to completely destroy the entire team fight. As BVOY, again, just trying to look to trade really swiftly with this on-hit build, with this proc, I should say, since it's the Storm Razor plus the Rapid Fire all together. Dignitas trying to stay grouped up. Double buffs ready to go here on the whole team. And they'll push up as 5, or push up into the river as 5.
Yeah, okay. Now it's a question of just, Shopify looking to try to control around that Baron area. Obviously, the idea is always, if Dignitas go for the Dragon, we take the Baron. I don't feel like those plays ever really work. And FakeGod may have just caught himself.
FakeGod, that one's gonna hurt. Dove is dominating now. eXyu trying to find a follow-up, but BVOY dashes away in time. Dignitas with a 5v4 for the next 45 seconds, but the Drake is spawning now. Dignitas should be able to secure this one for free, and FakeGod is a costly mistake on that one.
Yeah, I mean, he takes a trade in mid. He still had his flash available. I think he went hammer form and just kind of went in and killed himself.
Yeah, feels bad, man. I mean, Gnar just jumped on him and ulted him into a wall.
Yeah, that's tough. Well, I mean, now is the sole point.
Yeah.
For Dignitas, that's 3 straight dragons for Dig. And we have 4 if you count Smolder. He's got 305 stacks, so they already got their Elder in, man. 300, I think, is the benchmark where it hits 10% on the eXyu. Let me double check that. It still says it's just about 9%, so I think it's got to be really close now to that 10% eXyu.
Yeah, he's going to hit RFC right now, too. Or soon, and then that's going to be another big spike. Yeah, RFC is so nice on Smolder because it extends that Q range, of course, right? You're able to get those long-range Qs, especially this late in the game where you have that massive true damage burn. You're splashing it from the 125 stack upgrade as well, and it becomes very, very difficult to actually play around it.
All right, we are hitting critical mass for so many of these champions. Dove now with the needlessly large rod in inventory, working towards his final item, towards that full build. You can see the hat now completed for Insanity. The rapid fire cannon you guys are talking about on the Smolder. Lucian also nearly full build for BVOY with that BF sword sitting in inventory. It's going to come down to just the blink of an eye, I feel like, with the way that these team fights have been playing out, with how fast these health bars have been exploding. It's Shopify once again on the defense as Dignitas try to push up, sit down some vision, and force their opponents back.
They're trying to poke out Tomo, but he's just going to be able to fly over the wall there as BVOY was dashing forward. It's just so tough, right? And all they can do is kind of sit back, try to get this poke, try to find some sort of a window to find a way in. They can't be the team that's proactive. And that's always the difficulty with these sort of compositions where Dignitas just puts out so much pressure just by kind of stepping up. Nice little chunk there from BVOY, but it's just flash forward for Miles.
Here comes the Weaver's Wall. It's Insanity getting caught out. A huge shutdown for Dig. That's the most important player on Shopify Rebellion, and they don't even lose anybody here in the trade. Rich was taken low, but his flash got him out in time. Dignitas with a really important move there.
Yeah, it's a huge pick over onto Insanity. They don't get Bugi critically. They are going to be going over towards that Baron. You can see they're already onto it, trying to force Shopify to come into them. They can look for the turn, and there's Dove catching Bugi.
Bugi in trouble, man. The lollipop hook finds him. Dove needs a little bit more damage, but now the hammer form. FakeGod wants to go to the skies. BVOY grabs the kill back on Isles, but the fight ain't done yet. Rich has rejoined the fight after using the Unleashed teleport, and Dignitas, they may have lost their support, but they killed the enemy jungler. This should be free Baron.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be their Baron. BVOY and Zeyzal trying to get something done. The TP's coming back here from FakeGod. We'll see if they can make a miracle happen.
Rich has the Gnar bar charged. He's ready to go. Mega Gnar, the ulti, ready to cast. Baron down to 2,000 HP. This should be secured nice and easy. eXyu's got it. Now Dignitas has to exfiltrate. BVOY does not want to get any closer on this one. Dove going to be chunked there a little bit by the accelerated shock blast. Insanity's trying to join in on the chase. BVOY jumps up, calling over the wall. Dove in trouble. There's the shutdown with the credit back over to BVOY, helping Insanity finish him off. Dignitas have lost their mid laner for the next 60 seconds.
Now, the tough thing is there's nothing for them to get. There's no objective on the map. They can't run over to a dragon and grab a soul, so they can push up a wave, maybe get a tier 2 mid or something. But Shopify, at the end of the day, they're just going to eliminate the Baron buff from Dove, and that's about it. Dignitas still come out so well from that big trade. All right, talk us through this replay here, Pobelter.
All right, I think they had a really good engage. Lucian dashes in. They immediately come with the Taliyah ult and they get the one-shot on Hwei by comboing with Taliyah combo. This feels so good as Taliyah, by the way. Just have this easy CC to play off of. Gnar hits Mega and he's juggling aggro of like 2-3 people. I feel like the fight is just pretty much over after the Hwei one-shot, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we're just seeing the power of that engage, right? The power of the combo. You know, the guaranteed setup there with the depth charge from the Nautilus. You know, Isles flashes forward, sets up his mid laner to be able to get that kill. A lot of damage put out by BVOY, but not amounting to much of a result, unfortunately, for him, as, you know, it was all kind of just into the back of Rich, who was able to flash out and survive. And on the other side, they couldn't do the same. And look at that Q poke just through the minion from Tomo. It is getting so deadly here at this point. He is now over that 10% eXyu benchmark. It's 6.5% of your health as the burn in true damage and a 10% eXyu on every Q, let alone that base damage that's coming in through too.
All right, gentlemen, we have been trading Drakes for the past 39 minutes. It's finally time, 30 seconds from now, for the soul to go over one way or the other. Big chunk onto Isles. They're taking him down to about 1,000 HP. It's a 2K gold lead for Dig, but we've already been talking about how many items are in the inventories. It's not going to be that impactful at this point in the game. Dignitas with control over the bot side river. Shopify trying to check into it, but the range and the power of Tomo's Smolder is doing some work on these guys. Tomo still looking to shoot another one of those snot bubbles over the wall. As Shopify have lost half HP on both support and jungler. The Drake is alive. We'll see if Dignitas can just force this down. Another one of those Smolder Qs, just finding the poke on BVOY. Yes, he has lifesteal to heal it back up, but Dignitas seem to have complete and total control over the bot side river, and Shopify Rebellion will yield the Cloud Soul.
They're just going to have to give it up. I mean, yeah, BVOY has some lifesteal, but Bugi was down to half HP. Zeyzal was down to half HP. They had no vision. It'd be so difficult to actually walk in there knowing that the engage is all on the other side. There's just no way to really fight it out in these situations. Unless you're first to the objective and they're walking into you, then you can get a lot more done. Insanity hasn't really been as effective these last couple of fights. He's getting targeted, he's getting burst down, and it's making his job incredibly difficult.
I feel like they have no answer to this Smolder at this point. They have no way of getting on top of him. He's just standing at max range, just queuing everyone, just chunking people out, and he's still just stacking harder and harder.
Rich may have got caught here. BVOY putting a lot of damage into him. They're not going to find the snipe there with the Hwei. BVOY trying to get away, escape from that Weaver's Wall. Bugi now locked up next, gets back out with half HP. eXyu has to flash back out to guarantee that he survives. There was a lot thrown out there, but no dead bodies on either team. Tomo had to use the cleanse. Blue will be secured by Shopify. They don't give that over to Dignitas.
And your job just gets even harder now with the Cloud Soul on the other side. So much additional move speed to this team. If it wasn't already hard enough to escape the engage, if it wasn't already hard enough to chase someone down for a kill, it just got that much harder here for Shopify. So Dignitas feels happy to just honestly keep farming it out, to keep stacking on Smolder and look to play towards these objectives. You know, that has been the name of the game for them. They're not really overextending. They're not really giving any opportunities to Shopify. And it feels like a game where unless there's an easy opportunity given to them, they're just going to play for Elder. They're just going to wait for Baron, wait for Elder, just keep stacking up these objectives.
So I'll go ahead and ask you guys, Pobelter, I'll start with you. What do you put Shopify's chances in this game now? Because it really does feel like the cards are entirely stacked against them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like 15, 20%. I feel like this Lucian is 6 slot. He can still dash forward and potentially one-shot Smolder. Smolder missed positions, but I think it's Smolder's game to kind of lose. I think it's Dig's game to lose, especially now that they have the Soul. There's no really easy way to get on top of Smolder besides just dashing at him, I feel like.
Yeah, there's not really anything they have to actually catch anyone. And look at how much damage. That's 1 Q onto BVOY. Lost about 40% of his HP there.
That's rough, man.
You could dash in. He just Qs you and flies away. and you're going to be coming out worse for wear. It feels like Tomo getting pretty confident, though.
Yeah, Lucian going for that dash. BVOY trying to punish however he can. Tomo loses about 1/3 HP, but again, both of the AD carries have so much lifesteal because of the presence of Bloodthirsters in both inventories. Unless it's 100-0, it's not really going to mean much.
You can see, though, Dignitas a little bit nervous as soon as that dash comes in. Isles instantly locketed. You know, he pops lock in immediately. You know, they are concerned about how much damage could come in. They know probably the only way they could really lose this is Tomo getting randomly one-shot, so they're going to be playing around that. We have the Knight's Vow for him. We have the lock-it for him. You know, this kind of support itemization obviously does make a lot of sense at this point in the game. Sejuani also picking up a Knight's Vow as well, which is on the Taliyah. So, you know, really just trying to get these additional items for your carries for the core members right now. All you got to do is keep them safe and itemize to do so.
So, funny enough, talking about carries, talking about itemization, it's a 3,000 gold lead for Dig, and the entire gold lead is the difference between Taliyah and the Hwei. Dove is full 6 items. Insanity still only sitting on 5+ control wards. TP coming in now. Shopify trying to disengage. The mom flies out, but it only hits BVOY. Dignitas not getting a whole lot out of that one here just yet, but the Glacial Prison finding Insanity, forcing him to save him from the CC as Tomo has to try to flash away. Now, Shopify again on the back foot. Insanity hit by the seismic shove. That could be the pick that does it. Dove finds him, and now Shopify has to try to defend, but FakeGod's gonna die next. Tomo taking the kill. It's 5v3 for the next 50 seconds.
It looks like they may just be going over towards Baron or something. No, they're just going to stay mid. They want to try to push for the end here and try to close out this game. It was a great Mikhails from Zeyzal on the initial Sejuani ult, but it just didn't matter. Insanity gets caught, Insanity goes down, and now it's BVOY, Bugi, and Zeyzal trying to make a miracle happen.
Well, it's gonna take a whole lot, man. Isles here on the front. He just barely ends up falling, but they'll trade him back for Bugi, and if you're Dig, you're totally fine with that. Still 25 seconds before Insanity's back on the board, and you got a 4v2 against Zeyzal and BVOY. It's all about the Lucian, and Rich slams it back into the wall, follows it up with a wall up. That's gonna be GG. Zeyzal can't hold it. Dignitas with the 4-man squad here at the very end, 19-13. They'll take down Shopify Rebellion.
Dignitas picking up their 5th win here, taking down Shopify. It was a long one. We've had some long games today. 44 minutes on this, 400 and something stacks on the Smolder, 471 stacks by the end of the game. Woo. Pretty ridiculous. That's a 13% instant execute on the queue.
That's nasty.
Is that like the most stacks anyone has had, or what
in the LCS, I think for sure. In the LCS for sure. I can't speak to globally, but maybe we can actually get a check on that, because that is a pretty crazy game. Bought them so much time, and Shopify just, it felt like they were holding on off the back of some Insanity heroics, but it got tough in the late game.
I mean, Insanity was the main character for what felt like the first half of the game, but again, I can't put enough praises on Dove for the middle and late parts of the game. For Dignitas, his Weaver's walls were absolutely essential for some of the fights that they were able to set up, and then at the very end of the game, when we were locked in a stalemate for so long, the seismic shove catching out Insanity, that's the thing that ultimately seals their fate, so I gotta keep praising this guy. Awesome stuff from Dignitas there to be able to pull out the win. They're gonna be very thankful for that, again, heading into our final week before playoffs next week. A reminder to all y'all, Fantasy LCS is happening over on Sleeper, so go ahead and make sure you lock in your picks and bans for next week's games if you want to be part of the top of your league. Now we're headed to break before C9 versus TL. While we wait, let's learn a little bit more about Vulcan and JoJo.
What's up, guys? I'm JoJo.
And I'm Vulcan.
And we're playing duo queue. Yumi?
No, because it's already out of the game. I never see her anymore.
That's true.
So I don't
okay, so it has to be played right now. Amelia?
It's not a support. It's actually a mid laner.
Akali?
No.
Oriana?
No.
Azir? No. LeBlanc?
It's LeBlanc. Because of AD LeBlanc, man. It's so annoying.
That's true. What do you think is the most like you? Set.
That's actually a good guess.
It's not?
No, it's not, but it's a very good guess.
Okay, I need a hint. Can I get a roll, or is it too easy then?
It's like a similar champion to Set.
Garen?
No, not in the playstyle, in like the way the champion looks.
What looks like Set? Renekton.
No, it's not a top laner, it's a support.
Braum?
Yeah.
Okay, I got that. Me, of course. No?
I didn't think about it for a second, no.
Fudge.
Yeah, but then I thought about it more, and
it's not good?
You would need so much food, like, to keep sustaining his body, you know? I should have gotten Barber or something. Then I could eat.
FIFA? I don't know which. Oh, really? Fortnite? Okay, is it a console or PC game or both?
Both.
Minecraft?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That was actually just a random guess.
Good job.
Yeah, I have to give you a hint. It's not a champion.
Wait, what? Okay, so what's the question then?
If you have to delete something from the game, let's just say something.
Something from the game.
Yeah.
You would delete support. Jungle.
Yeah.
You delete jungle.
You can get this.
Favorite movie? It's like Interstellar or the other one. What's it? Inception.
Yeah? How'd you know? Did I say it before?
Yeah, you said it before, and I just remember that it was basic, and everyone says that.
It's actually a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I like it a lot too. It's just basic though.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, you're never getting this. Like, if you get this, like, I'll buy you food. You're not getting this.
What did you put, by the way?
Just think what I would put.
I mean, you put, I don't know, Seraphine or like Sona.
No, it's an ADC.
It's an ADC. Ezreal.
Nope.
Twitch.
Nope.
MF.
Yeah.
Why did you put MF?
I don't know, I just put down a random champ.
Okay. Thank you. Knight.
Yeah. It's easy, no?
Nice. Yeah, that was easy.
Wait, who got more? You actually got a lot,
I think
no?
I got more.
Yeah.
Dude, why'd you put your new rig in the basement?
Didn't you hear? Bill's a gagillionaire now.
Basically, my new connection is so strong I can game anywhere. Check it out. We've got gamer rocker, gamer floaty, gamer couch.
Whoa.
It's got wheels.
Gamer bench, gamer throne, and gamer mower.
What's that?
It's hard to game while walking downstairs.
I get it.
That's smart.
Live like a gagillionaire with low latency everywhere. AT&T Fiber with All-Fi.
Make more good in the Kia Sportage X Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Look what I've just made. The perfect pearl.
Not too bad, but check this out.
Whoa, a true Venus clam.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The new Red Bull Sea Blue Edition, with the taste of Juneberry. Wings for every taste.
Hello, and I'm here with victorious Dignitas jungler eXyu. After a little bit of banter with your ex-teammate Insanity before the match started. I know he kind of popped you in Baron Pit, but you ended up getting your revenge by winning the game. Take me through just the game overall. How do you feel like you performed?
I mean, I think my job this game is kind of hard because like they had Volibear and they had winning lanes like everywhere, so I just had to run around and cover dives. So I think it probably looks like I'm doing nothing, and honestly, I kind of am doing nothing, but it's like good if I do nothing, you know? I'm making the game like have nothing happen, so yeah. I think it was a hard game, but I'm glad my team pulled through. They really carried, so.
I mean, I thought you did a really good job covering on bot side when you needed to make sure the Smolder didn't get too far behind. And I think obviously Tomo was spamming Smolder. He was one of the first people I was watching in solo queue to try to see like how the champ worked. That's obviously been super high prio for you guys in draft. So is it just you kind of trust in Tomo to be able to carry? You think Smolder's OP, combination of the two?
I think it's a combination of the two, and also like I feel like we're really comfortable with either side because we think like Tomo's the best Smolder in the league, and it's like not even close. I think everyone else who picks it like is really bad at it. I think when FEI picked it against us, it was like it literally did nothing. So yeah, I mean Tomo's really good at the champ. We think the champ's strong, and we think other teams can't play it. So we're leaving it up always.
Nice, a good combination. And then lastly, moving forward, obviously you guys are in a really precarious position trying to make a playoff push. What do you think you as a team need to improve on the most to end up making it into top 6?
I mean, I think today's win was a pretty big win. I'm gonna go out there and say it. I think it solidified our top 6 because I think SR and IMT are like fucked now, or they're in a bad spot now. So obviously on our end, we don't want to go 0-3, but I don't even think if we go 0-3 we'll miss. So I think we have a lot of time to like prep and actually try to like focus on our macro. And I don't know. I think just a lot of the little things. I think we're at a point where in scrims we could beat any team, but it's like when we come to stage, it's either nerves or it's like we're a little more passive or something. So just gotta figure that out.
All right, Well, all the best. Also, everyone gets one, so you're safe.
Okay, I'm safe. I just won't do any more interviews.
No, you're good. We'll see you on the other side for TL versus C9.